Transforming the future with deep tech. Scientific and technological inventions make an impact on society when they are taken to market with innovation. A solution that works for India will work for half the world's population, and this can be a huge win-win for India and the world, says Chris Gopalakrishnan, co-founder of Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and Padma Bhushan awardee. Deep tech startups aim to solve complex problems by providing technology solutions based on significant scientific or engineering innovation. With a transformational blend of new and emerging disruptive technologies such as artificial intelligence (AI), machine learning (ML), natural language processing, robotic process automation (RPA), blockchain, Internet of Things, big data, and 3D printing, deep tech is breaking barriers once considered impossible to breach. In a country like India, where the socio-economic and development challenges are unique, deep tech is the need of the hour as it has the potential to meaningfully address various aspects of these problems using new technologies. Fortunately, there has been a steady increase in the number of deep tech startups in the country. India's deep tech ecosystem has grown 53% in the last decade and is at par with developed countries like the US, China, Israel, and Europe. Of the 27,000 technology startups in the country, 3,200 are solely focused on leveraging deep tech. Although deep tech startups account for 12% of India's overall startup ecosystem, they have managed to raise $2.7 billion in venture funding in 2021, according to the 2023 NASSCOM Strategic Report. The report also points out that while there has been a growth of deep tech startups all over the country, Bengaluru in Karnataka has emerged as the most favored city. The city accounts for 25 to 30% of India's deep tech startups. With 15 to 20% of the country's deep tech companies, Delhi NCR comes second, followed by Mumbai at 10 to 12%. Statistics show that the Indian deep tech ecosystem has truly come of age, contends Debjani Ghosh, President NASSCOM. The ability to innovate and the speed with which it is done determines the possibility of overcoming the challenge, she revealed at a recent meeting on deep tech and critical innovations. Part 1. Revolutionizing Healthcare with Innovation. One such deep tech startup is Avay Biosciences. This Bengaluru-based startup, co-founded by IIT Madras alumnus, has made a crucial breakthrough by indigenously developing a state-of-the-art 3D bioprinter that can print human tissues. Unthinkable as it may seem, this means that the long wait for patients needing organ donation may finally be over in the near future. A lack of organ donors is likely to lead to the death of 500,000 persons due to organ failure in India in 2023. It is estimated that more than 1 million people suffer from end-stage organ failure. Medical experts say that at least 16 patients die every day waiting for an organ, and that every 10 minutes a new name is added to the waiting list. The alarming statistics reveal just how critical this innovative 3D bioprinter will be in revolutionizing healthcare in India. In addition to the shortage of organ donors, there is a possibility of rejection by the recipient's immune system, as well as a risk of infection once transplantation has been done. The 3D bioprinter could provide safer alternatives. The 3D bioprinting technique is a unique gift to humanity by science and technology. This is because this technique is a potential alternative to organ transplantation. Some years down the line, 3D printing of organs will be at a stage where successful transplant will be possible without any complications. The patient will not have to wait for the donor and can actually get the organ 3D printed, and the transplant can take place smoothly, says Manish Amin, co-founder and CEO, Avay Biosciences. Turning dream into reality. The thought that they could develop a life-changing device came to Manish and his friends Aditya V.S. and Surhidi Sundaram, both alumnus of IIT Madras, while they were working together on additive manufacturing technologies like thermoplastic 3D printing, concrete 3D printing, and related technologies. Their goal of venturing into the medical domain got a boost when they received a grant from the central government's Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council (BIRAC) to develop a bioprinter and a chip model for skin printing. They developed the first prototype, a basic bioprinter that could print hydrogels within 6 months. This prototype, named Mito Plus, was installed at the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, where it was successfully tested under the guidance of Dr. Bikramjit Basu and his team. But the real work to make their dream into reality was to begin a little later. Once they realized that the availability of cost-effective bioprinters was an essential step in developing artificial organs, they decided to take a leap of faith. Tech-savvy friends loosely collaborating would not do anymore. A dedicated startup was needed to develop the prototype into a product that could be used effectively to save lives and was commercially viable as well. After close interactions with Dr. Basu, the three engineers decided that to develop and incorporate his inputs on advanced features like temperature control, HEPA filter system, and multi-material printing, they would need to expand their team. So in 2021, they founded Avaya Biosciences and brought in experts in manufacturing, biology, design, and marketing. A year later, an advanced version of the prototype Mito Plus, a bioprinter ready to print human tissues, was launched. Printing tissue currently means using bioinks. Bioinks constitute cultured cells and biocompatible materials like a hydrogel and are specific to the tissue being transplanted. These are used to create scaffolds. These live scaffolds are then incubated, providing the right environment and time for the cells to multiply and make connections resembling tissue. The scaffolds are 3D printed, maintaining structural and functional compatibility with human tissues, ranging from soft tissues to bone, which are the most commonly transplanted tissues, says Manish. He further points out that work by researchers was still ongoing to verify that these complex scaffolds actually behave identically to real tissue. Identifying these differences would lead to huge steps forward in understanding and artificially growing entire organs, something we are aspiring to do. In Sanskrit, the word avaya broadly means organ. This is the reason the company was named Avaya. Our approach to the creation of new organs begins with the journey of creating new tissue samples, a critical stepping stone to achieving this dream, he states. Developing a life-changing device. Bioprinting is a type of 3D printing that can potentially produce anything from bone tissue and blood vessels to living tissues for various medical applications, including tissue engineering, drug testing, and development. A 3D bioprinter works almost exactly like a printer does. It uses a digital file as a blueprint to print an object layer by layer. The software converts the digital file into printing instructions called G-codes, which are sent to the printer via Wi-Fi or USB. The printer reads these instructions and builds the model in 3D accordingly. This is how a 3D bioscaffold is produced. The only difference is that instead of plastic, metal, or powders, bioprinters use human cells and biomaterials as bioink to print layers of new functional human tissues like skin. It is essentially a way of artificially replicating human tissue that temporarily or permanently supports and nurtures living cells, explains Manish. Since bioprinting uses biomaterial and bioinks as its core requirements to create functional human tissues such as skin and entire organs, it is extremely important that these materials are of high quality. Bioinks are gels or pastes which contain two key components. The first are the cells for the type of tissue that are being targeted, and the other critical component is the biomaterial that can support the cells and aid their growth. Bioinks are materials engineered to allow the specific type of cells to grow and multiply while supporting the tissue structure. These can be divided into the following categories. Structural. These inks are used to create frameworks or supports for the structure. Sacrificial. These inks are aimed at supporting structures during the printing process but are later removed or consumed by the cells to be replaced by their own materials. Functional. These inks are used to guide a specific function like cellular growth, development, and differentiation. Biomaterials like gelatin and collagen are made from natural sources like meat, bones, and cartilage using chemical processing. They imitate the cell's environment as it would have been within the body, and so are used as support structures or scaffolds upon which cells grow and connect. According to Manish, biomaterials are one of the main and most critical components of this bioprinter. This is where Avay has shown its innovation and uniqueness by developing its own biomaterials. This was done thanks to Dr. T. Pavani's expertise and her skills in developing biomaterials. If you look at most of the companies, they rely on third-party vendors for procurement of biomaterials. We, on the other hand, have developed our own biomaterials. This is a long process and needs very specific expertise to optimize the biomaterials before sending it to the end user. Dr. Pavani has been giving inputs to our bio team on how to develop, formulate, and repeat the whole process without disturbing the compositions. These biomaterials are compatible with other bioprinters too. This makes us a unique team as we provide a whole set of bioprinting solutions, he adds. But being unique also came with its own challenges. The first big test was to convert the prototype into a product. This meant overcoming the hurdles of software bugs, ensuring smooth and repeated printing, and developing high-quality parts and features. The overarching concern was the availability of resources needed to fund such a capital-intensive innovation. Since the technology was very new, it took some time to figure out the product-market fit. We had to demonstrate the product to a lot of scientists and doctors to get their feedback. Deep tech research requires a lot of capital to even start the research, as it needs specialized talent as well as expert knowledge in more than one domain to develop and validate a science-based innovation. BIRAC was very helpful in giving us a kickstart to the project. We raised a pre-seed round after receiving the BIRAC grant. This helped us hire a few good resources and build our team of specialists, recalls Manish. What's unique about their innovation? MitoPlus is not only unique, but is also one of the most advanced bioprinters, and a wide range of biomaterials can be printed with it, claims its developers. Some of its unique features comprise an inbuilt UV curing option, HEPA filters, and temperature control facility, which allow the print head and the print bed to be cooled up to 4 degrees Celsius, as well as heated up to 80 degrees Celsius. These features facilitate the process of bioprinting, as many biomaterials are temperature sensitive and require precise environmental conditions. The viscosity of the biomaterial can be controlled to an extent by managing the extrusion temperature, according to Suhrid Sundaram, Chief Operating Officer, Avay Biosciences. This allows researchers to adjust the printing parameters and fine-tune it for precise scaffolds. Some materials also cure or harden when exposed to UV light. Since these materials are gels, such curing is needed to achieve more layers or the bottom layers get compressed and do not maintain structural integrity, he says. Collaborations for solutions. Avay believes collaboration and partnership with institutions focusing on science, technology, and research will provide better outcomes in terms of developing solutions. Its collaborators with organizations like the Institute of Chemical Technology, ICT, Mumbai, IIT, Madras, IISC, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, NIPER, Hyderabad, and BITS Pilani has helped it to add new features and building better software. We are working with BITS Pilani on developing bone tissues where Avay is providing the machines and the software for research. In turn, the institute is working on optimizing the material and testing it in our system. Once the material is stabilized, trials will be conducted. Then it will open for commercial use, points out Manish. While the collaboration with IIT Madras is to develop biomaterials for different end applications, the startup has signed a memorandum of understanding with NIPER, Hyderabad, to develop solutions for pharmaceuticals by using bioprinting and drug 3D printing. Mito Plus can be used for pharmaceutical drug discovery, testing applications, and cosmetology applications. The machine can bioprint human skin cells and use them for cosmetic testing, reveals Manish. In fact, it has recently collaborated with ICT Mumbai, whose scientists are using 3D bioprinters to develop skin, the most common type of layered tissue that could help victims of severe burns. These tissues can also be used for toxicology screens and various other testing mechanisms. Avay is also developing cancer models for drug testing companies. In this model, the tissue that is created with bioinks and biomaterial will mimic the real tissues inside human bodies. This can accelerate the process of drug development in the country, reduce dependence on animal testing, and increase the accuracy of drug testing. Experts say that many drugs fail in the advanced stages only because human bodies are very different from animal bodies. The way it is used for cancer biology is by replication of a tumor in the same way it is formed inside a human body. The replicated tumor can be used for drug testing. This technology can aid the researchers in creating cells and organs that mimic the actual human cells. In other words, replicate the tumor the same way it is formed inside the human body and use that for drug testing or to better study cancer cells and tumors. This will help to replace the need for animal testing, says Manish. Hopes for a brighter future. Avay's claim that it can develop artificial organs and create implants for medical professionals in accordance to their demand augurs well for medical science. We know that an individual who suffers an injury to the head and spine due to an accident would need CT scan or MRI. This CT scan or MRI can be converted into a 3D printable file. When this file is sent to a printer, it will print the implant according to the patient's CT scan. Neither this nor production of patient-specific tissue patches through bioprinting for other organs like the liver or cornea implants is possible with any other technology, he explains. In fact, the recent transplantation of a 3D bioprinted cornea into a rabbit's eye by a team of Indian researchers is a validation of this groundbreaking technology. The artificial cornea printed from human donor corneal tissue is biocompatible and free of animal residue. What raises hopes further now is with Avay Biosciences pioneering the 3D printing of artificial living tissues. The possibility is clear and present that millions in need of organ and tissue transplant can look forward to a fresh lease of life. Part 2. A Second Chance at Life. Not many get a second chance at life, especially patients admitted in the intensive care unit or ICU. The situation becomes grave in hospitals facing acute shortage of intensivists or specialists in critical care. In India, there are approximately 5,000 ICU super specialists tending to over 300,000 ICU beds. What has exacerbated the problem is that a majority of these specialists are located in large hospitals in metro cities. Consequently, the life of patients admitted in ICUs in small and medium-sized hospitals or in medical facilities in Tier 2 or Tier 3 cities hangs in the balance, as they do not have access to ICU specialists round the clock. This is what intensivists Dr. Dhruv Joshi and Dr. Dilip Raman wanted to change. As ICU specialists, they believed that no patient should have to suffer from a lack of adequate and specialized care, particularly with the advent of deep technology. So high was their motivation and belief that they could combine technology with their skills to save lives that they gave up their lucrative jobs at the prestigious Cleveland Clinic in the United States and returned to India. We saw that the current model of healthcare delivery for ICU patients ensured that quality care was only delivered to a very limited number of patients that had access to centers that had the physical availability of highly trained specialist doctors. We realized building a solution for those facing such circumstances would impact a far greater number of patients. The opportunity to significantly move the needle for care delivery to a very large number of patients motivated us to move back to India, says Dr. Dhruv. It was a decision that was to bring many changes. Not only would it lead to the founding of Cloud Physician, an innovative telemedicine startup, but more importantly, to the development of India's first tele-ICU platform. A technological transformation of intensive care units into smart ICUs was about to begin and bring with it a second chance at life for the many patients desperately awaiting critical care. Thinking out of the box. It was clear to them from the very beginning that the solution lay in developing a new technology, because the existing technology was unable to fully solve the problem at hand. The fact that less than 1 in 10 critically ill patients in India get the care they deserve is unacceptable. High-quality critical care must reach every ICU bed in the country, and given the current skill and people constraints, technology is the only effective solution possible, contends Dr. Dilip, co-founder and chief of healthcare Cloud Physician. They decided the only way forward was to transform ICUs into smart ICUs by using technology in a way that every patient could be closely monitored round the clock and given appropriate intensive care treatment at the exact time needed. Since the shortage of specialists meant this could not be done by their physical presence, the two hit upon the idea to leverage technology to provide 24/7 care virtually from a team of specialized doctors and nurses. Both held extensive experience of using technology platforms used for tele-ICU services across the world. They had already seen how the virtual presence gave specialists the ability to view and be a part of the care of a patient at times when it was not possible to be physically present. In 2017, Dr. Dhruv and Dr. Dilip joined hands with another friend, Dhruv Sood, a software engineer with over 10 years of experience in healthcare technology domain, to start Cloud Physician in Bengaluru. Its focus and aim was to leverage its pioneering tele-ICU platform to provide medical help virtually from a team of ICU specialists helmed by Dr. Dhruv and Dr. Dilip, as well as to anticipate, prevent, and respond to any emergencies that might arise during the patient's stay in the ICU. Patience pays. Interestingly, it took 2 years from the time the duo returned to India to launch their startup. Despite being aware of the powers of telemedicine, having worked in hospitals using this technology and seen its positive impact on many of their patients, they wanted to explore the ICU ecosystem in the country before deciding the exact contours of their teleplatform that would be suitable for the Indian healthcare environment. It was to take patience and time. Their quest took them to ICUs across the country. They visited states with poor health indicators like Madhya Pradesh and Bihar, as well as to Karnataka and Kerala, where the healthcare system is considered to be of a high standard, to assess the situation. One of their main learnings at the end of their 2-year journey was that while a lot of data was available that could help improve the management of the patient, technology was not being used to the extent possible to monitor and prevent critical incidents. Technology had no role to play in the vast majority of hospitals we visited. They were dependent on paper documentation. While some were using systems that did not talk to each other, the awareness among providers was also low. In fact, I clearly remember an instance where a doctor once told me that handwritten paper documents are less error-prone than digital records, recalls Dr. Dilip. It was experiences like these that made them realize that healthcare lagged behind significantly with regard to the adoption of technology. This had led to several inefficiencies in the current system. Both doctors were convinced that the only way to eliminate errors in care arising from such inefficiencies would be by adopting well-designed platforms that enhance the doctor and the patient experience. If the ability to improve the outcome of a patient, even while not being physically present, could be engineered into a solution, it would be a foolproof means to ensure that ICU patients, irrespective of their location or time of day or night, could be assured of quality critical care. This is what we decided to design and develop. Our technology platform, RADAR, or RADAR, an acronym, is the outcome of our efforts to reimagine critical care delivery, explains Dr. Dhruv, co-founder and CEO, Cloud Physician. Blending technology and medical expertise. Once any hospital expresses its readiness to transform its ICU into a smart ICU, the first step is activation that lasts about 2 weeks. The Cloud Physician team is introduced to the hospital staff and creates a structured plan with their inputs on how ICU processes can be better. During this time, the Cloud Physician team goes to the bedside of these hospitals and installs their innovative technology and networking equipment, including a high-definition camera connecting the hospital with Cloud Physician's Command Care Center. The next step is augmentation, which lasts for 6 weeks, wherein the Cloud Physician team works in real time with the hospital to suggest measures to help improve health outcomes of their ICU patients. This is called augmentation because we augment the capabilities of the bedside teams and provide them with a real-time 24/7 level of expertise that they do not have. We do not replace any of the staff at the bedside required to manage these patients. They are imperative to delivery of our services in the last mile. We only improve the quality of care that their patients receive. We provide an extra layer of safety for the sickest patients in the hospital, contends Dr. Dhruv. Digitization helps to bring transparency and automation into the process. It also helps reduce the workload of bedside caregivers, make the healthcare process more alert, and ensure that everything is being documented. This process lasts for around 12 to 18 weeks. Importantly, training to use Cloud Physician's technology platform RADAR is also given to ensure that their ICU becomes a smart ICU and achieves the end goal of saving lives. Behind the scenes. The key to this clinically designed solution is the camera. It captures images from patient monitors and uses a computer vision algorithm to analyze the image and interpret the numeric data on the cloud. Subsequently, the machine learning algorithm analyzes the numbers and compares it with previous data that is already there on the electronic medical record and enters those values into RADAR. Additionally, it analyzes complex ventilator waveforms and interprets these values and graphs to assist the clinician with respiratory physiology and interpretation of patient-ventilator interactions using machine learning tools and support systems. In this way, it combines attributes of machine learning with computer vision to improve patient care. The system helps monitor the health of a patient by determining physiological parameters that include blood pressure, body temperature, and respiratory rate. Since it works non-stop, the system's machine eye continuously monitors the patients and triggers actionable alerts to clinical providers if required. In other words, if the condition of an ICU patient suddenly takes a turn for the worse at a time when there is no doctor or nurse around, the message will be instantly conveyed to the specialists present at the Cloud Physician's command center. Immediately, their intensivists will intervene without waiting for the availability of doctors on duty at the hospital. The idea behind this concept of a smart ICU is to act as a force multiplier that allows an intensivist to help multiple critically ill patients at the same time. This is done by combining technology with proper systems and processes that enhance the caregiver's ability, productivity, and quality of care. Our camera systems, augmented by computer vision and state-of-the-art platform, ensure that patient data is continuously streamed to the command care center, where an intensivist can give timely inputs to optimize outcomes for patients whose health indicators can change rapidly within the course of minutes, points out Dr. Dilip. Saving lives virtually. Just how critical a role their innovative platform would play became clear soon after its launch. In fact, if it wasn't for the timely intervention by the Cloud Physician team in 2018, the life of a 14-year-old boy battling severe pneumonia at a small hospital in Bihar would have been difficult to save. The boy was admitted to the ICU after his blood oxygen levels plummeted and his condition deteriorated drastically. In such circumstances, he would have been transferred to a big hospital in state capital Patna, about 3 hours away, for intensive care by ICU specialists. However, given the severity of the lung disease, he would not have survived the trip, as it required advanced interventions on the ventilator and changes in body positioning to keep his oxygen levels up during the journey. Even with so much going against him, there was one big factor in the young boy's favor. The hospital he was in had shown the foresight to sign up with Cloud Physician. Fortunately, we were able to do these maneuvers by guiding the bedside team because they were a partner for our smart ICU services. We were able to guide them to make minute changes on the ventilator and in the positioning of the body to allow his lungs to function better. Over the course of the next few days, he made a gradual recovery and was finally taken off the ventilator. He returned to school in a few weeks' time, remembers Dr. Dilip, a pulmonary and critical care medicine specialist. It was this cutting-edge technology of a smart ICU in Nadiad, a small town 60 kilometers from Ahmedabad, Gujarat, that led to a successful organ donation for the first time in that region. When a road accident case reached the hospital at 5 in the evening, immediate critical care was given. However, he was later declared brain dead after protocolized testing and evaluation by the bedside team. As his family expressed their desire to donate his organs, doctors had to swing into action immediately to make harvesting possible. Thanks to Cloud Physician's state-of-the-art critical care support, the bedside team was able to keep a minute-to-minute watch on the accident victim and maintain the liver and kidneys under optimal conditions. This was done by relaying vital patient data to the Cloud Physician team, which, in turn, prescribed suitable treatment protocols and guided local doctors to ensure the vital organs remained in good condition. The next morning, specialist teams from Ahmedabad reached Nadiad and took the kidneys and liver. Dr. Dilip recalls that because these organs were in optimal health, they could be transplanted successfully in the bodies of waiting patients within the next 24 hours. The COVID lifesaver. The real test for tele-ICU services came when COVID-19 struck. The pandemic demonstrated two critical facts. First, it acted as a stress test on the critical care infrastructure of the country. It clearly showed that the Indian healthcare ecosystem did not have the required number of ICU beds, nor did it have adequate expertise to manage critically ill patients at scale. Meanwhile, at the time of the pandemic, there were less than 5,000 ICU specialist doctors in the country that had to manage more than 300,000 ICU beds across a diverse healthcare system. Ideally, the doctor-patient ratio in an ICU is about 1:10. The doctor-nurse ratio is 1:1 for those who are very sick and 1:3 for other patients. Secondly, the treatment of over 5,000 COVID-19 patients with the help of the tele-ICU system showed that if applied correctly with the proper operational frameworks, technology could be a powerful and scalable tool to solve complex healthcare problems. We were able to rapidly deploy our services in over 450 government ICU beds across the country, ensuring that life-saving critical care reached these beds in the shortest amount of time possible. As opposed to the ratio of 1:15 intensivist at hospitals' bedsides, Cloud Physician makes possible one intensivist per 60 to 80 sick patients through its tele-ICU platform, says Dr. Dilip. Many hospitals started stocking ventilators during the pandemic, but unfortunately, not all medical practitioners knew how to operate it. But the tele-ICU's teleconferencing facility helped overcome this operational hurdle by providing virtual training. One of their main challenges was to train enough doctors and nurses to work in an ICU at the time when the number of COVID cases was rising. The need of the hour then, as well as now, is to leverage technology. The center has accelerated the process and got doctors and nurses to enroll for a 3-year specialized course so that more medical professionals are trained over time to use technology in healthcare. The Telemedicine Society of India has begun conducting training and webinars for doctors in Tier 2 cities to use technology. We too have commenced training through webinars to assist as many doctors and nurses as possible, says Dr. Dilip. Crossing the first hurdle. Cloud Physician today supports both government and private hospitals. It has tied up with 70 hospitals in 18 states across the country, and its tele-ICU services have reached far-flung and remote areas in Ladakh and the Brahmaputra Valley. Initially, there were very few takers. However, neither Dr. Dhruv nor Dr. Dilip lost heart. They realized that since it was a concept that was hard to understand, it was initially challenging for doctors and nurses to grasp that there was a solution to their problems. They decided that the only way to cross this first hurdle was to demonstrate its efficacy and let the results speak. The proof is in the pudding. We initially piloted our services in Mysore, where we supported a 7-bed ICU with round-the-clock critical care services. When we supported the bedside doctors and nurses to take better care of their patients, the results were obvious with improved outcomes. Once the key users were demonstrable, convincing them was easy, as most doctors we talked to only wanted the best for their patients. We continued to add value-added services like training and education that further empowered bedside teams to help the patients as much as possible, states Dr. Dilip. Since then, there has been no looking back. Ensuring affordable critical care. In the last 5 years, Cloud Physician has touched the lives of 45,000 ICU patients and helped hospitals decrease mortality rate by 40%. Tele-ICU helps patients in remote areas and small towns and saves them the trouble and expense of traveling to metros and spending 80,000 rupees a day for intensive care. This way, they get the same treatment from the same doctors for 1/4 the cost. Our charges are designed in a way that patients can get the same quality of care in the comfort of their community that they would get in a metro city hospital. This is a significant cost saving for the patients, both from a healthcare angle and from the social angle of having to move to a new city and stay there. The patients must get the care they need where it is most appropriate for them. This can be an ICU in their community or even their home, explains Dr. Dilip. In keeping with this philosophy, Cloud Physician has partnered Nightingales, a reputed home healthcare provider, to deliver intensive care services for critically ill patients in the comfort of their home. Here, clinical and home site assessment will be followed by a detailed care plan drawn up by senior intensive care specialists and the patient's treating doctor. Based on the patient's medical requirements, a complete intensive care setup along with medical equipment is installed. Like in the hospital setup, the patient will be regularly monitored by a multidisciplinary team of doctors, nurses, and caregivers. The service currently in place in Bengaluru and Mumbai also ensures round-the-clock monitoring by Cloud Physicians' intensive care specialists and an experienced bedside nurse. Winds of change. The Indian e-health market is expected to be worth $10.6 billion in 2025, growing at a CAGR of 39.6%, with telemedicine being the biggest contributor to the market size. Investors like Eleva Equity have understood the potential of innovations like Cloud Physician and boosted its operations with $4 million in pre-Series A funding. Cloud Physician too has lived up to the faith shown in their abilities. Their recent success in bringing down neonatal mortality in a remote area of Uttar Pradesh has validated their impact. We partnered with a hospital where there was at least one sick baby dying every day in the neonatal ICU. We ensured that the hospital could help these babies after transforming it to a smart NICU. In a matter of 3 months. This was the first time the hospital team used advanced respiratory management techniques made possible under the expert guidance of the Cloud Physician NICU team. We will keep striving to improve it further. It was really gratifying to see the change we had brought about in a relatively short period of time. Not only are we helping to save lives, but in the case of these newborn babies, we are actually saving lifetimes, says a happy Dr. Dhruv. Part 3. Mapping Safety. The wish to save lives has also been the driving force behind Road Metrics, the technological innovation developed to promote road safety. In India, over 1.5 lakh people died from road accidents in 2021, as per the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. India topped the list of the top 20 countries for road accidents, according to the 2019 World Bank report. Experts say that road accidents are the leading cause of hospitalization, disabilities, and deaths. One of the main causes of these road accidents is the poor condition of roads. Deepen Babaria and Michel Jariwala realized they could have become accident victims as well when they set out to a friend's house in Surat. When they took the route suggested by Google Maps, they found the road was full of potholes without any street lights, making it difficult and unsafe to travel. Although Google Maps had indicated the shortest and fastest route, not the safest one. It took the two college friends twice the time to reach their destination. It was their good fortune that they did not meet with any road accident. It got the duo thinking about creating a solution that provided road and street level data. They worked on developing software using artificial intelligence to map road conditions for 2 years in college. When they submitted their solution and won the Best Project Award in the final year of college, Deepen and Michel realized their work had potential. Their confidence received a fillip when the Surat Municipal Corporation asked them to conduct a pilot road assessment for the city so that it could assist them in road maintenance and town planning. What started as a project in college became the genesis of Road Metrics, a deep tech startup to provide AI-based data for road management plans. It has, so far, collected data on more than 50,000 kilometers of road across the country in cities like Delhi, Bengaluru, Mumbai, Jamshedpur and Patna, making Indian roads safer and pothole-free. At present, government bodies in India have no technology that can efficiently monitor its road infrastructure. This was an additional factor that motivated the two friends to put their thinking caps on. At that time, they were still pursuing an engineering degree with a specialization in AI. The first plan was to develop an application for mobile phones that would inform the user about the condition of the road. So the two moved to Bengaluru to try their hand at entrepreneurship, as the city is home to hundreds of startups. This is where they met Nikhil Prasad Maroli, an industrial and operations engineer from Texas A&M University who had returned from the US after working with automotive car companies like Velodyne Lidar and Tesla. When he showed the same enthusiasm about developing their idea for road safety, the three decided to found Road Metrics. Fine-tuning safety. Within the first 2 months of incorporation in 2019, the startup received great interest from investors and got its first funding from 100x.vc headed by Sanjay Mehta. I was very excited and a little nervous. While I had worked on projects in college, this was going to be my first entrepreneurial exposure. Road safety is an essential area which does not have any software that provides information about the health of roads. This is true for India and even countries outside India, says Deepen. The trio started to develop their initial idea of making mobile-based software. While the sensor-based technology that would work as a mobile application sounded good, it was not feasible as we would have to drive on every part of the road to capture the vibrations. The vibrations would then be assessed to find the potholes, he says. So, on further research, Deepen and his co-founders found an even smarter solution. We developed an image-based or computer vision-based software. It uses the camera of the mobile mounted on the windshield of the car. Once the mobile is mounted, we start our data collection application. It records video data along with GPS data, coordinates, and timestamps. This is uploaded to our servers where there are millions of such data stored. Our trained AI software then identifies the road defect, he says. Deepen adds, our AI algorithm can identify 10 types of road defects ranging from minor cracks and surface deterioration to major problems such as potholes. Fixing problems. Other than the AI algorithm, the startup also has developed road metrics maps, which helps consumers find the fastest and most comfortable roads. Identifying that the solution to the problem was not just navigating a pothole-free route, but also fixing them, the company switched from a B2C to a B2B model. The data collected from the maps is also fed into our servers. The maps are currently functional only in Bengaluru, he informs, but since this was very labor and capital intensive, we decided to take another route. The software is a B2B model where we help municipalities and private players to identify the problems in the road and fix them. The company has already mapped the entire city of Bengaluru and Mumbai while they are working in Assam and Bihar. On the basis of damage reports assessed by our software, the municipalities and private companies can decide how much allocation of funds is needed. We are working with the Tata Group in Jamshedpur, where we are helping them identify the issues on the road, he says, taking a 360-degree approach. A manual survey takes nearly 4 to 5 months and another couple of months to finish the planning. By the time the survey is completed, the entire condition of the road changes. The plans made might not be suitable for the new damages. Our technology is capable of surveying 1,000 kilometers within a week's time. Therefore, it is less time-consuming and also more detailed. In Jamshedpur, there was a road called MP Road that would always be in a bad condition even after maintenance. Turns out there was a small stream nearby and the water was sweeping below, damaging the road. He continues, "We identified this problem and then the contractor was able to plan the road's repair accordingly." Similarly, in Bengaluru, the company has collaborated with the Electronic City Township Authority, or ELCITA, to fix potholes. Deepen says the startup is currently working with private players like the Tata Group, Mahindra Group, etc. They are also in discussion to collaborate with government municipalities. After covering thousands of kilometers in India, the company has no plans of stopping. "We have already started to map the city of London as we have a client there," says Deepen. The startup has also been showered with a lot of awards since its incorporation, including the Mobility AI Grand Challenge by the Telangana government and the award for Best AI Startup for Smart Cities by the Ministry of Electronics and IT. A necessary innovation. According to the World Bank, road accidents cost the Indian economy 3 to 5% of its GDP each year. Considering every death caused by a road accident leads to the depletion of nearly 7 months' household income in poor families and pushes the family of victims into a cycle of poverty and debt, there can be no compromises on road safety. Saving lives by improving road management and infrastructure is a priority. Through its innovation, Road Metrics has shown that if there is a will, there is a way. Government as enabler. Government support for deep tech startups, especially in the very early stages, is a key enabler. The Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council and the Department of Science and Technology have provided support through various programs. The Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises has also launched several government schemes designed to empower startups. Some of the programs include Tide 2.0 scheme. Technology Incubation and Development of Entrepreneurs scheme was initiated in the year 2019 to promote tech entrepreneurship through financial and technical support to incubators engaged in supporting ICT startups using emerging technologies such as IoT, AI, blockchain, robotics, etc. The scheme is being implemented through 51 incubators through a 3-tiered structure with an overarching objective to promote incubation activities at institutes of higher learning and premier R&D organizations. The scheme is expected to provide incubation support to approximately 2,000 tech startups with an overall outlay of 264 crore rupees over a period of 5 years. Domain-specific Centers of Excellence. Over 26 Centers of Excellence, or COEs, in diverse areas of national interest have been instituted to encourage self-sufficiency and create capabilities to capture new and emerging technology areas. These domain-specific COEs act as enablers and aid in making India an innovation hub in emerging through innovation and development of prototypes. Atal Innovation Mission. AIM promotes innovation and entrepreneurship by serving as a platform for innovation hubs, grand challenges, startup businesses, and other self-employment activities, particularly in technology-driven areas. To inculcate innovation and creativity among children at the school level, the government has also launched Atal Tinkering Labs, or ATL, across India. At these labs, the students can take part in various activities and work with tools and equipment to acquire hands-on knowledge on the concepts of STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and maths. Another program set up by AIM is Atal Incubation Centers, with an aim to build innovative startup businesses as scalable and sustainable enterprises. They provide various facilities with the right amount of physical infrastructure on the basis of capital equipment and operating facilities. Startup India. Launched in 2016, the scheme has successfully provided a great start to a number of potential startups in the country. The initiative has provisions for various methods to learn and know more about startup growth, including research parks, incubators, and startup centers, among others. Apart from this, the scheme has also created a fund of funds which helps startups in gaining access to funding. The primary motive of this is to build an environment in which startups can innovate and evolve without any obstacles. Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. Easy availability of capital is essential for entrepreneurs at the early stages of the growth of an enterprise. Funding from angel investors and venture capital firms becomes available to startups only after the proof of concept has been provided. Similarly, banks provide loans only to asset-backed applicants. It is essential to provide seed funding to startups with innovative ideas to conduct proof of concept trials. The Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, has launched the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme SISFS. With an outlay of 945 crore rupees, the SISFS aims to provide financial assistance to startups. It will support an estimated 3,600 entrepreneurs through 300 incubators in the next 4 years. Aspire. To improve the social and economic aspects of life in rural areas of India, a scheme for promotion of innovation, rural industries and entrepreneurship, Aspire or ASPIRE, was launched to set up a network of technology centers and incubation centers to accelerate entrepreneurship and also to promote startups for innovation in the agro-industry. Support for international patent protection in ENIT, that is SIPEIT scheme. The government has initiated a scheme titled Support for International Patent Protection in ENIT or SIPEIT that encourages international patent filing by Indian MSMEs and startups to encourage innovation and recognize the value and capabilities of global IP. Reimbursement provided under the scheme is up to a maximum of 15 lakh rupees per invention or 50% of the total expenses incurred in filing and processing of patent application. Genesis. GenNext support for innovative startups. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MEITY or MEITY, has launched an umbrella program, Digital India Genesis, to discover, support, grow and make successful startups in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities with emphasis on collaborative engagement among startups, government and corporates for promoting digitization based on the principles of inclusivity, accessibility, affordability, leading to growth in employment and economic outputs. India can reap the benefits of this startup revolution by becoming more self-reliant and emerging as a global powerhouse and exporter of deep tech innovation. Deep tech startups concentrate on solving significant and fundamental problems, as is evident from the fact that 97% of these ventures contribute to at least one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Efforts of the government and initiatives such as the Deep Tech Club program by NASSCOM and other major enterprises and industry bodies are crucial to tap the full potential of these deep tech startups. Igniting Ideas for Impact is an audiobook published by the Better India in association with Accenture India. Find out more about Accenture India's initiatives at www.accenture.com/in-en. Author Swapna Majumdar. Edited by Divya Setu and Tanya Singh.